your lips to tantalize. Sure. Yeah! You can get any man you want going, and you do it. And don't say you don't know you do. Well, baby, I people everywhere just wanna be free. Listen, please, listen, that's the way it should be. Peace in the valley, people got to be free.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and that was the Just Nuts Band. And now, from WVOX Radio and host of this episode of This Is Rock and Roll, Mr. Dennis Dion Nardone.
Hello and welcome to another edition of This Is Rock and Roll, a show that features the stars of the music world. My name is Dennis Dion Nardone, and let me say thank you to the beautiful Mary for that wonderful intro and to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, today's show, I can't tell you how excited and honored to have this guest today, one of my favorite of all time. 4 number 1 hits, 10 top 20 singles, 6 top 20 albums, 1 Grammy nomination, 4 Hall of Fame inductions, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Musicians Hall of Fame, Grammy Hall of Fame, Songwriters Hall of Fame, Vocal Group Hall of Fame, Hit Parader Hall of Fame, and of course, the B3 Hammond Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, please say hello to, from the Rascals, the leader, Felix Cavalieri. Felix, what a true honor to have on the show, and welcome to This Is Rock and Roll, man. I love you since the 60s. I love the music. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Dennis. Hey, it's good to see you.
Yeah, we had you on the radio show, and you know, you always kind of imagine how someone looks. And of course, seeing your pictures from the 60s, I knew exactly who you are. But here you are, and I want to thank you right off the bat for coming on to the TV show. And a sure delight. I mean, again, a big, huge fan growing up, big part of my life with the Rascals. And thank you so very much. Anyway, after all these years, you're back on tour. You're in New Jersey, New York, you're in Pennsylvania, and you're on tour right now. You and Gene Cornish. It's the Rascals featuring Felix and Gene Cornish. Tell us about the you and Gene getting together and going on tour.
Well, it's been a while, you know, and there's been some health issues, but we're back, and you know, like Gene is another kind of guy that really loves to work. I mean, he loves to be on stage, he loves to perform. So we got the opportunity to go out there. We're going to go out there, and we're kind of looking forward to it. You know, we've been doing this for a long time. We take a little break in between here, but we're ready to rock and roll.
Yes, Bergen Pack, and you're going to be out in the casinos, or you're going to be at Windcreef and out there in Pennsylvania. So they have to go to the website. Tell everyone what the website is so they can go to the schedule and catch yourself and Gene Cornish doing all those great hits. Well, what's the website?
Right now we're using FelixCavaliermusic.com is the website. You know, basically, we've been you know, working. We've started in November, and we have a new theme, kind of like we're really pushing the time and peace, you know, which is one of our albums. But it's time for peace, and that's what we're trying to do, is just, you know, kind of make everybody smile a little bit and take a look around and then just calm down a little bit, you know?
Yeah, we surely need that. And you were always a guy about peace, going back to the 60s. And, of course, and now bringing it back in this time of era, we definitely need it. And, you know, you wrote, especially if people got to be free. There's a song with the lyrics back then. It's got the same meaning as right now. So the name of the tour again is
Timepiece.
Timepiece.
With a, you know, we had an album called Timepiece, you know, and so we're kind of like, not that we're highlighting it, but it was the hits as well. But we're highlighting the theme, that's for sure.
Felix Cavalier from, well, born in New York City. You kind of made your way to the Bronx somehow, but you found you grew up in Pelham Manor, right over the border in the Bronx, a beautiful town. I grew up right up the block on the other side of the border, and we were neighbors. You're maybe 2 or 3 years older than me, but we went to the same record shops in New Rochelle, Caruso's, New Rochelle House of Music, right there on Main Street. You
That's
took the
right.
bus up there. I mean, we were like right there together, and to find out you grew up right across the street from the high school, Pelham High School, and tell us about those days growing up in a community like Pelham.
Well, I was very fortunate, I felt, because my father came from the Bronx, and my mom came from New York, and they really wanted my sister and I to be educated well, so they decided to move up to Pelham Manor, and something that I really was able to thank, at least my father for, because it made a big difference in my life, the education that I got up there. And I was also able to go to my music school, which was in New Rochelle, because I was at that great county there, Westchester. So, I mean, I had a great childhood. I just really enjoyed growing up there.
Yeah. Well, this is a great book, by the way. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to get this book. Felix Cavalier's Memoir of a Rascal, from Pelham, New York to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And here it is. You want to know about the Rascals. You want to know about the songs. You want to know about Felix Cavalier. Get this book. It is tremendous. It's all, I tell you, it's the Bible of Felix Cavalier and the Rascals. Great stuff, man. And it touches my heart, because every time you say New Rochelle, I kind of freak out. But great book, great book. It explains it all.
You see that cover you
I
got
wanted
there?
to ask you about this cover.
Well, you know who took that picture?
No.
Linda McCartney.
I was just going to say that. And now, what were you doing? Doing a little Latin dance there?
This was a long time ago, and Linda was a photographer. Before she met Paul, she used to be like part of the New York scene, and very, very, very good photographer, as you can see. This was, I believe, we were in. I think we might have been in this place called the Phone Booth in New York City at that time. We were kind of coming up, and we were having a good time.
Yes, yes. Coming up, yes, I tell you, you started off with the Swinging Six, Felix, the Escorts, and then the were you involved with the Stereos at that time? Explain that one to me.
I had a group in high school, singing group called the Stereos, but it wasn't the Stereos that made that.
Okay, that was my question.
Which is a shame, because they only had one hit, and I get credit for it.
Right. Yes, that's what a lot of people say. Oh, he was with that doo-wop group, and I said, oh, he's got to find out. Of course, you met Joey D. Tell us about Joey D. Great guy.
Well, basically, what happened was this, real quickly. I was in school. I was actually pre-med in Syracuse University, and I had a group up there that people seemed to really like. That was the Escorts that you mentioned.
Right. Now,
so we took a summer job at the Raleigh Hotel in the Catskill Mountains.
Right.
And every weekend, a headliner would come in. And in this case, it was Joey D. and the Starlighters, the Pep Twist people. And little did I know that was really going to change my entire life, because I met Eddie's brother, David Brigatti, who was part of Joey's band. And what happened is, as they saw me, they heard me, and they must have liked what I was doing there. And then they went off to Europe.
Right.
And at that point, their organ player quit. So I got a phone call, would you like to come and join us in Germany? So basically, I spoke to my dad, and I said, here's the situation. I've got an opportunity. What do you think? And he was so impressed by the fact that they even asked me. He said, "Yeah, go ahead, take a year off, and see what happens."
Now, didn't your dad buy your first Hammond, the M3, as opposed to the B3?
Oh yeah, well, basically the B3 was a major investment. Not only was it a major investment, but it weighed about 500 pounds. So the M was a little cheaper, it was a little easier, and basically it started me off. But yes, he did. My dad and my mom, as you can read in that book, they really helped me out a lot, and I've always been appreciative of that.
Yes, yes.
You know how the Italians take care of the Italians, though.
Oh, right up the road. I'll tell you, I grew up Italian there.
Sir.
But anyway, how can I be sure? Groovin, Good Lovin, Beautiful Morning, People Gotta Be Free, just a few of the songs, great songs. I tell you, they're just every song, they're all my favorite. But if you ask me about one certain song, I will ask you about My Hawaii. That is a gorgeous song. Tell me about My Hawaii.
Well, we had the really, really good fortune of being extremely popular in Hawaii. A lot of reasons for that. But we were kind of like, a R&B white band, and they loved that idea.
Yeah.
Well, we went over there, and we were treated seriously like the Beatles.
Right.
Well, we went there so many times. I used to tell people, look, let's heck with the rest of the world. Let's just be famous here. That's it. So it just to kind of like give you an example, they have a word over there called Ohana, O-H-A-N-A. It means family. It means exactly, what we were talking about earlier about those neighborhoods. So I wrote a song. We wrote a song that basically was kind of like saying thank you to the island's population. I just left there last February. I went out. I just went there for 2 shows. I did shows in Maui, and there's a bond there between the Rascals and the island that I'm really, really proud of.
Yeah, you should be. You should be proud about your whole resume and your whole career, that's for sure. And let's take a step back. Your mom wanted you to play Beethoven, and you wanted to go out and be Mickey Mantle, but she wanted you to play Beethoven, Mozart, and you had to sit there and practice before you can go out and play in the playground. But she wanted you to be classical. You even were able to play at Carnegie Hall, right?
Well, yeah, part of the auditions for some of the show. You see that because, classical music, when you first start, there's a lot of competitions.
Yeah.
And that's where they had the competitions.
Right.
But, yeah, you're right. I mean, like, basically, somebody doesn't kind of push you a little bit, you're liable to miss all your classes.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned the Beatles. And if I remember from the book, George Harrison was a big part of Hawaii, and you used to sit down with Paul McCartney. How was what did you feel when you were talking to the Beatles? I mean, you were big time at the time. You had hits as well, but the Beatles are the Beatles. How was it to talk to Paul and George like I'm talking to you right now?
It was very interesting, just like you say. I mean, like I say, you got it with all due respect. They were, and to most degree, they still are one of the biggest groups that ever lived.
Yeah.
The history goes back a way. You see, our manager, Sid Bernstein, brought them to the United States. He brought them to the Shea Stadium concert. He also brought them to when they first came in for the first Ed Sullivan, and they also did Carnegie Hall. So we've also had kind of like we knew them, as much as you can know the Beatles. We knew them, and I mean, nothing but respect for those guys and what they did and what they contributed to all of us.
Okay. Let's remind everyone, Felix Cavaliere, he's on tour right now, The Rascals, featuring Felix Cavaliere and our good friend Gene Cornish, a guitar player, part of The Rascals for so many years. They're on tour right now. They're in Jersey, they're in New York, they're in Pennsylvania. Check out the website. Go see them. I'm sure they sound just as good as they did back in 1968 or 66 when Good Lovin' came out. And so many great hits. Get out there and see them. Get the book and be part of Felix and his world, because everybody, any baby boomer grew up to all your music. And real quickly, The Barge, a big influence, big part of the Rascals. Tell us about the Barge.
Well, the Barge was a place in the Hamptons, and those of you who are familiar with the Hamptons know that the Hamptons are kind of the place for people to go who can afford it in the summer.
Yeah.
So when we got the offer to go to the Hamptons, we had just really been starting out. We started off in Garfield, New Jersey, and we went from there to some shows in New York City. But then we went right out to this place called the Barge.
Yes.
And the Barge, in the summer, everybody who is anybody in many businesses, including the music business, the people go out there, and that's where we got discovered.
Yeah, now, you know, every garage band back in the 60s wanted to be the Rascals, and two songs you had to learn was Mustang Sally and Midnight Hour. What influenced you to put that into your repertoire?
Well, you see, those days when you worked in a club that was 21 and over, I'm sure you remember that, and the proprietors, the people who owned the clubs, they didn't want any new songs. They wanted songs that were what they call covers.
Right.
So that's why that story goes to you know, House of Music and Caruso and up in New Shell, because I would have to go up there, and you know, in those days you could play the 45s in a little booth. You remember that?
Yes, yes, yes.
And as long as you bought something, you could stay there all day, all night.
Yes.
So I found these songs. I found Good Lovin' by the Olympics. I found Mustang Sally, which I think was done, I believe was done by the Falcons or Sir Mac Rice, you know, because Wilson Pickett got it after we did it. You know, we did it first. And I would buy the record, basically not only to learn it, but to tell the club owners, look, this is a real cover. Look, we're just doing our versions of that.
We mentioned Gene, we mentioned Eddie. Dino, we just lost him a month or so ago. He was just the ultimate as a drummer. Everyone wanted to be Dino. As I told you on the radio, all the drummers would try to twirl the sticks like he did, and they couldn't do it. The sticks would go flying. But he was the ultimate professional and showman, and plus he was just a great drummer. Tell me a little about Dino.
Well, you see, the interesting thing is that, you know, when he came up, you know, he was working where I saw him, where I found him, in a place called the Metropole. I don't know if you remember the Metropole.
No.
It was a place that you could look. It was on I think it was on 7th Avenue. You could look in and see the. You could see the, what do you call the talent in there.
Yes.
And it was a place that highlighted people like Gene Krupa, Buddy Rich, Louis Bellson. So it was like a jazz club, and those people whose names I mentioned, they were all drummers who were leaders of their band.
Yes, yes.
You know, Lionel Hampton. I mean, we're going back a ways.
Yes.
But those are people, in other words, the drummer was the leader, and the drummer put on a show. Well, Dino learned those shows. The only thing is, instead of doing swing music, big band music, he brought it to rock and roll.
Right. We are speaking to Felix Cavalieri of the Rascals, and it's a true honor to have him on the show. And Felix, along with Gene Cornish, the longtime guitar player of the Rascals, are on tour right now. And how long is this tour going to be? We're going to go right into the summer?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think we're going to be in Ridgefield, Connecticut in June, you know, and you know, as long as the people want to hear us play, we want to play.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And I'm going to get out there to see you. I hope I can get to say hello to you. I had you on the radio, got you on TV. I got to meet you in person.
Of course,
let's
do it. Let's do it. All you got to do is make that phone call, brother.
All right, we'll do that.
We got you covered.
Hey, one song I want to ask you about, Lonely Too Long. I always loved the piano part, and then the organ comes in. How did you figure that all out?
Well, you know, I mean, basically, you know, it was different in those days because nowadays when people record, they've got unlimited amount of tracks. We only had 8.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, our 8 was one of 2 in the world. You know, the Beatles and Stones and Kinks, they did all that music on 4 tracks. Can you believe that? But basically, Lonely Too Long was a very important song for us because it was, you know, after Good Lovin', we got an opportunity to write our own music.
Yes.
And we were very fortunate that when Lonely Too Long came along, it was a hit.
Great song, beautiful morning, people got to be free. And Groovin', one of my favorite. That's got a Latin flavor to it, correct?
Right, yes.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
It has a conga. It has no drums. Matter of fact, the record company didn't even want to put it out because there was no drums.
Yeah. Just a tremendous song. And once again, the Felix Cavalieri, the Rascals, they're on tour, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to be in the Bergen Pack. They're going to be at a casino, the Wind Creek out in Pennsylvania. They're going to be all in the area. You heard they're going to be in Connecticut. Check out the website. Go see Felix, sounding great as ever. Get the book. There it is. Got to get the book. Felix Cavalier Memoir. You want to know about Felix? You want to know about the Rascals? You want to know how those songs are made? It's right here. Great song, and just love it. And Felix, we're going to go out with a couple of your videos on Ed Sullivan doing Groovin. And you were kind of young then, but you sounded good. You know the best
I had
part.
hair there too. What do you know? Yeah, everything. Yeah.
You know what the best part about Felix? A lot of people lose their voices. Man, you still got that blue-eyed soul at the age of 80 as you did when you were 22, man. That is a great part. And hey, the B3 kicks. Fortunate. And you guys sound great. I know.
We have a good time, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in person, bro.
Yes. Definitely got to get to say hello to you. And hey, one quick question: did Tom Jones really take your girlfriend away from you?
Well, no. As a matter of fact, he gave me a break, and he let her stay with me. Yeah, it was one really nice thing. When he found out that she was my girlfriend, he left her alone.
Yeah.
I've always been thankful for that. Thank you, Tom.
All right. Felix, we got to go. Thank you so very much. It's been a true honor, man. I got to tell you. Thank you so very much. Very much.
Thank you, Dan.
God bless you. Keep rocking. And, man, I'd love to see you out there. Keep going, brother. Don't ever stop, please.
Thank you. Thank you for playing our music all these years. I really appreciate it.
I got to play it on my radio. Every week I play it, Saturday and Sundays. Got to.
Fantastic.
All right. Thank you, Felix Cavalieri. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes another edition of This is Rock and Roll. Thank you to the Bronx Net staff. Thank you to Gerald Bell for doing the opening for us. Thank you to Vic Sabatini, our producer, director of the show. Our guest, Felix Cavalieri, tells it all right there. My name is Dennis Dion Nardone. Please tune into my radio shows every morning. And, of course, Saturday and Sunday, we play the oldies. My website, clubdennis911.net. So as we go out, God bless you. God bless the USA. And thank you for watching for another edition of This is Rock and Roll.
Just a groovin' on a Sunday afternoon. Really couldn't get away too soon. No, 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 no. Day by day.
Now here's an American combo, the Young Rascals. So let's bring them on.
I see what you're doing out there. I see those moves you're making. I'm here to let you know, baby, cause I'm the one. So my name is Vic and I'm really slick. And I pose my realists and I do them really quick. When I'm on the job, putting on the show, cause I'm looking bold out like another Rambo.
Hey Al, I got an idea.